The South African National Editors Forum has accused Big Tech and Parliament's Portfolio Committee on Communications of disregarding calls to discuss how to combat disinformation and hate speech during the approaching elections. Joining us to discuss this further is Hopewell Radebe, SANEF Projects Manager. Hopewell, good evening and thank you very much for your time.
Good evening, my lady, and thank you for the opportunity you are giving us.
No, it's a pleasure to have you with us. So your article stating how big tech companies and Parliament have simply ignored your request to meet and discuss the joint action to combat disinformation and hate speech during the upcoming elections is quite concerning. Can you just take us through the timeline from when you first engaged these parties until now when you decided to then write this letter?
Well, it's been a long project, really. We didn't just start it this year. We started some time ago where we had informal discussions with the big tech companies, and then we had the opportunity to have our own conference around about February this year, where we looked at what is it that we should have a discussion about and how we want them to assist us. And this is about making sure that they do not allow disinformation that will then sort of torpedo certain parties or in certain individuals and end up forcing us as the media following up on stuff that is totally wrong, or it's a disinformation, it's lies about certain people. So only these big tech companies would be able to switch off if we as the media are able to fact check and make sure and get to know that this information is totally incorrect. It should not stay on that platform. We want to be able to contact them and be able to say, this is what we have verified, this is totally incorrect, or maybe it is a spread of disinformation about any political party or about, let's say, the IEC, if it is the Independent Electoral Commission, and other institutions that are critical for these elections. So we've had the opportunity to have, let me call it, preliminary talks with institutions such as TikTok and Facebook. But we've not been able to sort of make them take these decisions that we need, because we need a commitment that says once we collaborate and we're able to verify information and we're able to identify disinformation, it should be completely removed.
Mm-hmm. What was their response to that? Because at least you are meeting them halfway.
Well, yeah, it's not like they're going to be doing this themselves, yes, because they would argue that we don't know South Africa that much. We are based maybe in a foreign country, but they do have offices here. And to be fair to the people that work for them in South Africa, they've opened their doors and talked to us, but they don't take those decisions. It's a very serious decision to be able to take down, let's say, a disinformation about the president or a disinformation about any political party leader. So we wanted to make sure that our elections integrity, what you call, are restored and they don't fall into a trap whereby any party could then start saying that we, the media, participated in spreading lies. Because we too find ourselves following certain, let's say, something on Twitter now, X, and say, so-and-so said this on Twitter, only to find out it's a wrong Twitter account. So those are the things that we wanted to collaborate in and make sure that we are able to resolve speedily.
So, Hopewell, what was the response from TikTok? Because like you say, you were willing to meet them halfway and say it might not be your area of specialization. We will do the fact-checking. We will bring this to your attention. All you do is remove. And everybody knows SANEF is a reputable body that really deals with these kind of issues. So what was their response?
At the moment, it's been very a non-committal discussion with them going to what you call, to kind of find out from the powers that be whether this can be done and how it could be done. So we are just worried that the electioneering period has already started in South Africa. We had hoped that by the time the president proclaimed the election date, we would have had some serious discussion or some commitment at least, and a structure with which how we can combat this. We have put proposals on the table, but they've not been committal in terms of responses of what and how far we can go, or what is it that they are willing to do for that matter. Hence the statement that we made, also pointing a finger on the side of our parliament, because they know better and they've known our commitment much earlier than anybody else. And even on the side of parliament, they've been very slow. in terms of responding. In fact, there have hardly been a commitment that says we stand with you, we are going to be participating with this.
That one is particularly worrying insofar as Parliament is concerned. But there were several public announcements by the big tech companies on their strategies to contribute to elections in the European Union as well as the US. So what does this inability to put together some sort of a strategy for a country such as South Africa, a strategic country on the African continent, actually mean?
I think maybe we see ourselves as a strategic country in the continent, but we are just a third world country maybe to them. And our elections can be compromised. They don't seem willing at this stage. At least they've not shown any commitment to get this done. Yes, they have seen what happened during the first role of disinformation when Trump was elected the first time around, and there was a lot of outrage in the United States that there seemed to have been an infiltration or involvement even of Russia. So we were trying to be upfront and be proactive to see to it that we do not also ourselves as the media found wanting, for having folded our arms and waited for God to come and assist us. But no, they have not been able to assist us with this matter.
And then just in closing, the Film and Publication Board, they published a notice on the Government Gazette trying to regulate the space of disinformation, but you were among those that said that they need to withdraw this because they have no mandate to be regulating disinformation and it's far too broad. Unpack this one for us.
Yeah, well, first of all, it would have been great if they had not sat in a corner somewhere and come up with decisions like those. Let me give you an example. The Independent Electoral Commission spoke with other independent electoral commissions in Africa and came up with principles and suggestions of how this can be done. So while on our side, SANEF was consulting with its own colleagues and friends and international partners to be able to get that code together. And if you look at it, it unfortunately missed the opportunity to kind of involve us, to look at what we have. And we are not just alone. We are with the Media Africa
and media monitoring, yes.
Yes. And we are with even the Press Council and so on. So they kind of jumped the gun. But also they are not a regulatory body like your ICASA and BCCSA and Press Council. So yeah, it's a matter of what we see here as a body that thought, we can just do this, but expecting us to come on board when we're actually not being involved as an interest and the interest party and a stakeholder. But they also missed all of our kind of recommendations here because they kind of worked in silos instead of getting us involved.
All right, Hopewell, thank you very much for your time this evening. That's Hopewell Radebe, SANEF Projects Manager.